कॉन्सेप्ट्स पढ़ाएंगे, सबको सिखाएंगे इज अ वेरी बेनिफिशियल कैंपेन बाय iExamB। आज के इस वीडियो में हम लोग एक टॉपिक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉ से उसे डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, दैट इज प्रेसिडेंस रूल। प्रेसिडेंस रूल एक कॉमन भाषा में वर्ड यूज किया गया है, बट वो किस प्रोविजन के लिए यूज किया गया है इसे हम लोग डिटेल में समझेंगे इस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो में एंड अपने कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी को अटेन करेंगे। सो डोंट फॉरगेट टू सब्सक्राइब एंड स्टे ट्यून टिल द एंड। Welcome to iExamB and stay tuned with such beneficial videos from the campaign concept पढ़ाएंगे, सबको सिखाएंगे। अगर आपके कोई भी क्वेरीज हैं या फिर आपको किसी भी वीडियो की आवश्यकता है, कोई कंसेप्ट पर आपको डाउट्स हैं, यू कैन राइट टू अस एट hello@iexamb.com या फिर आप इस वीडियो की कमेंट सेक्शन में भी लिख सकते हो and we will surely try to come up with a video on that. You can also call on this number or you can visit our website www.iexamb.com for the purpose. So what is this precedence rule? Let us understand. President in India is the chief representative and the executive head of our country. He is the head of the union for all the administrative and executive matters. He is the representative of our country. बट ये प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल का कंसेप्ट क्या है? डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री में प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल का कंसेप्ट होना चाहिए एंड अगर है तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली कैसे सपोर्टेड है, ये सारी चीज़ें हम लोग इस वीडियो में समझेंगे। ये सारे एंगल्स को हम लोग समझेंगे कि एक्चुअली व्हाट इज दिस प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल। इट इज कॉमनली टर्म्ड एज प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल। एक्चुअली इट इज अ कॉमनली यूज्ड वर्ड, नॉट मेंशन्ड इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एनीवेयर। वी हैव अ डिफरेंट वर्ड फॉर इट इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। सो लेट अस सी दैट. Part 18 of the Constitution, we all know, it speaks of emergency provisions. There are three categories of emergencies, three types of emergencies. National emergency, that relates to Articles 352, 353, 354, 358 and 359. National emergency कब proclaim की जाती है? जब कोई national threat हो country को, the security of the country is at stake. Article 355, 356 and 357 deals with the imposition of state emergency and state emergency का ही दूसरा नाम है President's Rule in the states. So इसे हम लोग डिटेल में समझेंगे इस वीडियो में कि actually what is the state emergency and why it is called as President's Rule. Article 360 is the third category of emergency, which is financial emergency. When the financial credit stability of the country is at stake, at that time this emergency is imposed. So what is Article 355 of the Constitution? Let us understand that first. It is actually a substantial article. It imposes an obligation, or we can say a duty on the union. What kind of duty or obligation is imposed on the union? To protect every state of the country against external aggression, internal disturbances, and ensure that the government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. So this is a very important article as it is giving the power, or we can say the duty rather, obligation of the state कि सारे स्टेट्स ऑफ द यूनियन कि सारे स्टेट्स को कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के हिसाब से चलना है. दिस इज व्हाट इज द मैंडेट एंड ये सारे स्टेट्स में फॉलो हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है. दैट इज व्हाट इज द ड्यूटी ऑफ द यूनियन. वी आर हैविंग अ फेडरल सिस्टम बट वी हैव इट कॉसी फेडरल सिस्टम है. सेंटर इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू रिमेन स्ट्रॉन्ग. So union is having this responsibility to maintain that all the states are working in accordance with the constitution and protect every state of India from external aggression and internal disturbances. So this is what is a part of state emergency. अगर ये नहीं हो रहा है, if suppose there is a breakdown in constitutional machinery of the state, if there is any threat to the state, any particular state, not the nation at large, नहीं तो वो national emergency हो जाती है. Aggression है, internal disturbances है state में, then immediately union will be under a responsibility to take care of that. And if it is going out of control, then immediately union will impose a state emergency. And how it is going to impose that? That is given under Article 356 of the Constitution कि आपको किस manner में उसे impose करना है. Of course, the discretion rests with the union, but a guideline is given in Article 356 of the Constitution. And यहाँ पर हमें समझ में आएगा कि इसे हम लोग precedence rule क्यों कहते हैं. ऐसा कोई mention तो है नहीं Constitution में, but the provisions in case of failure of constitutional machinery, जब ये situation arise होती है that the state is not able to function in accordance with the constitutional provisions, there is a failure, and this report has been given by the governor of that state to the president, of course. Then in that case, if the president is satisfied that such kind of a situation has arisen, then he may by a proclamation. That means the discretion has been given to the president. He can issue a proclamation, and that proclamation will be giving himself all the powers. Assume to himself all or any of the functions of the government of the state, or any of the powers that are vested or exercisable by the governor or the legislative authority of that state, that can be immediately taken over by the president. So this is very important for us to understand that this is what is the thing which makes it president rule. President rule हम क्यों कहते हैं? Because यहाँ पर prima facie discretion भी president के पास है, but वो सारे emergencies में president के पास होता है, but here he takes over all the powers to himself, यानी कि he immediately usurps the powers to himself. तो ये जो concept है कि immediately state का सारा power president के हाथ में आ जाता है prima facie. Then he may further delegate that power to the parliament. That can be legislative powers जो है वो parliament को दिए जाएंगे. But prima facie he will be assuming those powers. That's why it is known as a president's rule. So the president's rule is initially why I have taken this first, because this is an important point. ये आपको later proviso clause में मिलेगा, आगे के clauses में मिलेगा, sorry, not proviso, in 356, that the president's rule is initially for a period of 6 months. Later it can be extended maximum for a period of 3 years, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं. But उसमें भी parliamentary approval की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी हर 6 months के बाद. That is what is the thing. It will be laid before the parliament. That is what is the discretion of the president is of course subjected to a check, because we are in a democratic country. And the power of the president also involves making incidental consequential provisions जो भी है relating to the exercise of powers by the parliament or any authority. That is going to be done by the proclamation. And nothing in this clause, one thing which is important, we all should know that nothing in this clause shall authorize the president to assume to himself any powers exercisable by the High Court. That means these powers will be only legislative and executive powers, administrative powers. Judicial powers have been kept out of this. This you should remember, this is very important, that judicial powers of a court can never be taken up by the president or any other authority. In this case, judicial powers are kept aside from 356. Always remember, this is an important point. And 356 में भी अगर कोई मैनिफाइड डिसीजन लिए जाते हैं, then that will be subjected to judicial review as well. This is also one angle which you should remember, because this is a democratic country and the role of judiciary is very important here to keep a check on administrative or executive actions. 357 is an article which is actually talking about the consequential provisions relating to the legislative powers specifically. जो भी legislative powers exercise होंगे proclamation के हिसाब से, suppose the president has given some legislative powers to the parliament, so उसका जो consequential provisions होंगे, और we can say the incidental ancillary जो provisions होते हैं, उसके बारे में 357 बात करता है, that how it is going to be exercised. So are you understanding that 355, 356 and 357 is all talking about state emergency and why it is known as president's rule? I hope ये सब आपको clear हो चुका होगा. This is what is important. Remember, the conceptual clarity is very important in all such kind of provisions जहाँ से questions भी आते हैं exam में. So do ask us if you have any queries in the comment section of this video, and prepare 50% faster with iExamB. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.